Where is Snowfall? My mic was muted during that, but we live.
What up?
Waiting for
What up?
some,
What up?
waiting for the chat. You know what I mean? I think we got what 5 people in here.
Six.
6 people. Hydroglyphic already starting with the shits.
No,
this
I feel him.
this is going to be a very interesting conversation that we have to have about this show because first of all, I don't even know if I want to go scene by scene specifically because it was just like they already gave us blocks to go by,
Yeah.
and some people really liked the ending, some people didn't. I saw you said you didn't know what you wanted to go off of.
Yeah, so I was trying to kind of take it in last night. I obviously had my reaction to it initially. And I had the night to sit on it and just kind of think about Jesus OneDrive. Um, I had time to kind of think about where they went and see if there was maybe things that I missed along the way that was leading us here.
Yeah.
Right? Like you kind of do that in retrospect after the series has kind of wrapped up and you got your ending. You kind of start thinking about, okay, how did we actually get here? Was there pieces of it that I didn't see necessarily the first time, but that ultimately added up to us being here? And so the one thing that I was able to come up with in terms of what the lesson or what the overarching message of the show was is it I guess it's you reap what you sow,
A little bit.
kinda. But even that, given where everything is laid out, is a little inconsistent, right? Like there's people who are doing wrong to a higher degree than Franklin, who either got off or at least got to live a reasonable in terms of mental faculties, reasonable health
Mm-hmm.
to that degree. So it's like it's not consistently trackable. I just don't know, man. Honestly, it feels a lot like the wrap up to Power. It felt a lot like, and you know what's crazy? Not the whole season,
Sure.
right? I'm just talking about final episodes of both series. It felt like all of a sudden Reed died, and I won't say all of a sudden, right? Because they have been building to this mental snap from Franklin, right? This he's over the deep end, he's lost everything, he has nothing else to lose. But I feel like even in the mania, there was still enough sense to get to the end goal, right? To get to what it was that we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
There was still logic there because at the end of the day, even when Franklin gets emotional, he still has the wherewithal to recognize, all right, what's the best play? So to see that kind of character turn right in the last episode, like even up to the point with Teddy, he's still trying to move the chess pieces. He's still trying to find a way to get out of it. Now, to his downfall, ultimately, right?
Sure.
That ultimately led to his downfall. But he's still trying to move the pieces to try to figure out how he can come out on top. So just to see this like 180 for this character in this last episode is very reminiscent of Jamie St. Patrick going from I need to do this for the rest of my life, not for what I've built, in the 30 plus years past of my life, but for what I want for the future, like for my family, for myself, for everybody around me. Like, this is what I want. To no, fuck you, I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to get me out, and I'm the only one that matters. Kids be damned, wife be damned, family be damned. It's any by any means necessary ghost, and that's what Franklin turned into in his last episode.
I think the only difference is that Ghost was going to ascend, whereas with Franklin, if he got what he wanted,
Where you going?
yeah,
Where you going?
it would
Like
probably
like
keep going
like
in a
this
cycle.
entire episode is weird, man. I really wish now that this series would have ended with Sissy shooting Reed and just cut it there. Like
Ah,
if we never saw anything that we just seen in this episode, would it have really taken that much away from you in this series? Like
no,
what do we see? What do we see? We seen what happened with Wanda and Lee. Told you so. Told you so.
we'll talk about
We
what
seen
predictions I did get
obvious.
right.
No, you got some right. We seen what happened with Franklin. Seen what we basically saw every character's endpoint, but nothing happened that was shocking. Nothing happened that was like, oh, I know exactly what's about to happen in the spinoff series with Wanda. You don't. What did we have to see? See, I understand why they showed us what they gave us. What was meaningful enough for there to be this last episode on top of what we got in episode 9? What we got in episode 9 was the climax. That was the peak. This was the downfall.
Sure. I believe in some way, shape, or form, they were trying to bring some of the stories, well, obviously to an ending, but some of them full circle even. Like I was talking to my dad earlier today, and we were just talking about how Alton was, obviously a Black Panther, and the things that he was doing coming up was he was trying to make sure that he was doing right for the people in his community. And at some
Right?
way, shape, or form, Franklin was also trying to do the same exact thing, albeit from a completely different standpoint. And then succumbed to the exact same plague.
So
Exact
let's
same
let's
downfall.
look at the difference though. Let's look at the difference though, right? Where did Alton end up? Alton was a drunk, right? Junkie, whatever. He ends up getting clean, right? Making his way back into his marriage, back into the house, back into his son's life. And by the time that Alton is taken off the board, he's a complete 180 from his pitfall, from his lowest moment. It's almost like we worked in reverse for Franklin. It's like Franklin continued to ascend to this point, and yeah, there was that jumping off point where it's like, all right, well, ain't nobody around here making no money, right? Like we're subservient to everybody. At least I can put something in this community to make us worth something. That's how I started. Excuse me. But then, it slowly became just amassing this empire until he loses it, and then he falls back down into obscurity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like where Alton ends up getting taken out when Reed did his thing. Alton had realized it. He had realized the errors of his ways, and that's what it was so weird that they was taking this route, because there was no time to give us any hope for this character to be redeemed at this point. Everybody else had a slight bit of out, well, other than Sissy, obviously. But, mostly everybody had a slight slither of hope, except for Franklin, and they would like you to believe that that's because, he was the biggest bad when it was all said and done. He was the biggest bad guy, except for the first 5 seasons, Franklin has been our protagonist. And so that's why it feels kind of weird for the antagonist to be reaping his sow, right? To be reaping the seeds he planted. But yet that same character is our protagonist. So where you have liked to have seen our protagonist reach his summit and have some type of realization or come to Jesus moment, it never happened. And then he just kind of turned into the antagonist in the last episode.
I can see that. I think ultimately the drug game, and I think of a quote from Hove where he says, I guess it's two sides to what substance abuse is. And he's talking about like just the irony of the fact that it's not just the user of drugs who obviously comes to an addiction and at some point experiences a pitfall, a downfall. Also, the drug dealer goes through that same thing because they're addicted to the lifestyle that drugs can give to them.
So I thought about this, right? And I was really trying to level this out and kind of make it as real as I possibly can, even though we're dealing with a television show.
Sure.
And I'm trying to live with the realities of people who deal with drugs or any type of criminality at that, at a business type level. And so I feel like at least the history we read would lead you to believe that it is a straight and narrow path from crime to either death or imprisonment, right? That's what we've always been taught. And, there are a lot of stories to support that. But then there's this other layer that doesn't get talked about, where the wealthiest people in our country not only push themselves into that status, a lot of times through criminality or some type of amoral behavior, but perpetuate their wealth through criminality or amoral behavior. So it's like, okay, on one hand, you're telling me that, hey, look, you deal drugs, eventually it's either going to kill you, you going to get killed, or, you're going to go to jail. Mm-hmm. But then, we start talking about some of the oldest families, some of the, most prominent political families in the country today. Sure. That started, moving packs out of Arkansas.
Or bootlegging.
So it's like, you can tell me, yeah, this was inevitable. This is where this had to end. Except I was looking at a video of, you remember, Unique from the Other Power series, right? Mm-hmm. So that's based off a real person.
Is that Supreme?
I don't know. It's a dude named Unique. It's a real dude named Unique in Harlem. Yeah. So he boom, he was taking people around to his spots and all that other stuff, telling him how he ran his operation, blah, blah, skip. Mm-hmm. He's above ground. He's well. He at least appears to be healthy.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, yes, there are bound to be pitfalls when you deal in criminality. Did he have to go from kingpin to wino in 3 years? So in half the time he built his empire, he became an absolute vagrant and drunk.
That had to do, specifically the drunk part, had to do more with tying him full circle to his father, I would think. But he had to become,
it was a bit on the nose for me. It was a bit on the nose.
Victim of all of what he had become.
Why did he have to become a victim of what he had? I mean, yes, a lot of people do. And that is typically what we see in these scenarios. Ghost, Game of Thrones comes to mind as well, right? Ultimately, Daenerys Stormborn becomes a victim of her own conquest, her own thirst for the throne. She becomes victim to it and goes mad. Still another one of those character turns that will never sit right with me, but that's what happens, right? So it's a thing. And it's almost like a common thing. It's the most reasonable outcome for a tyrannical protagonist that you can have, or at least a protagonist that turns tyrannical, is that they ultimately end up destroying themselves and becoming a shell of what they once were.
Sure.
I just thought it was a little on the nose. It's a little typical.
I just feel like what the story was designed to portray is that no matter what intentions you go into this with, the streets will eat you up and spit you out.
Yeah, but see, I
Which
guess
is
that's
real.
just only
To a
a
certain extent.
reality for black people, then, right?
It was
I,
told.
I, I,
It was
just, I
told from a black account, so I can't knock that.
no. I get it, but that's not even where Freeway ended up.
Sure.
Freeway would not, you know what I'm saying? Freeway ain't out here turning over people's trash cans, walking down the street in a beater.
Sure.
There was a whole arc of a rapper making his multi-platinum recording career off of this man's name. Right? Like there are other routes, more inventive ways we could have sent Franklin home, in my opinion, other than the most typical and saying, "Oh no, when you do bad happened to you." It's a very simplistic way of getting through what went down here. Because if that's what happened to Franklin, okay, then why isn't Oso reaping his soul? Why isn't Louis? Why aren't we seeing how Louis pays for her crimes? Obviously, Lee was able to get out of his responsibility and shit that he set up in the projects. He's able to bounce back and forth with Africa because he feels bad about dealing drugs. So it's very selective in who we are making carry these consequences that are supposed to be the overarching theme of the show.
That's not a bad, way to look at it, I guess. I feel like there were some possible mistakes made into it, but ultimately I didn't hate this episode. It wasn't what I expected.
I just love it, man. Love it. It was
it
like
wasn't what I expected at all, but I didn't hate it.
On the cliffhanger of 9.
And then okay, so some people would argue that, I think you mentioned earlier that he should have, for all of this, he should have died or went to jail. Would that really have made you feel better?
I don't think I would have liked it better for him to die or go to jail. I guess, I don't know, man. A part of this, I will admit, is me projecting my expectation on this character, right? I've never seen this story told this way, right? And so I was looking for an atypical ending, and I end up getting a typical one. I got a predictable one. I got one that didn't really take all that much thought, I don't think, right? Like, who did it surprise that with what happened, with Sissy killing Teddy and Franklin being left ass out with no money? Okay, well, the number one thing I will go to is, all right, well, it's over with for Franklin. This is where he spirals out of control and something bad happens to him.
Sure.
I thought it would have been, excuse me, it would have been just a little bit more epic for that character. Maybe not for him to win everything, because he had a lot on the line. His mom's life was on the line, his wife, his baby, his money, you know what I'm saying? There was a lot riding on it, so maybe he doesn't clear the bar on everything. But I'm telling y'all, the idea that criminality is just this linear path to death is a it's a good lesson to teach children. But to think of it in that way as an adult is kind of naive, because most of our ruling class in this country at some point in time in their lineage probably did something that wasn't that legal. Probably skirted a rule, a certification, something, skirted on their taxes, stole a patent from someone. That is capitalism. It encourages criminality to a degree. And that is not a scourge that's just built into drugs either. It's everywhere. Anywhere where people are making money, they're going to be encouraged to steal it.
Sure. I would argue that Franklin had many a chance to divert course, especially when he saw that things were going way, way south.
Yeah.
And because he never switched course on it.
But when else have you seen him behave that way, though? Right? And you're right. In this episode, he's pedal to the metal. It doesn't matter who he's talking to, no matter what's going on. He's saying a lot of wild shit. Like he's off the reservation right now. But when else have you seen him act like that? When else have we seen him behave like that?
There have been times where he could have diverted course and he still kind of went forward with it.
To the point of crashing out.
Maybe not to the point of
When have we
crashing
ever
out.
seen him spiral that far?
Maybe not to the point of crashing out, but he got a lot of help from the people that were in his corner. And at this point, those people said, "Nah, it's time to cut you off." And so now he doesn't have those people to, help him when he's not diverting course and still going, full pedal to the metal.
So then you think that most of the decisions along the way for Franklin have more has more to do with the people around him than his own decisions,
No,
than
I
his
just
own
think
decision making.
I think when he would go pedal to the metal and maybe things wouldn't go quite right, he would have somebody there to help him in some way, shape, or form. And when those people pulled out, obviously it just went straight down from there. Like going pedal to the metal specifically with nobody there to kind of correct you when you're wrong, it just went straight downhill from there. Right? Like
Yes.
for example, when Kane took Louis, Jerome was there to assist him with all of that. Jerome, Leon, all that shit.
No, no, no. That I wouldn't give you that one as an example because that was all driven by Franklin's decision making. If Franklin doesn't make the decision to notify Kane about where he didn't even know Louis was taken. He was about to be on a plane to Jamaica. He was about to be gone in a few hours.
Sure.
So like, if he doesn't make the decision to contact Jerome and go back and save Louis,
Sure.
none of that. Yes, he had assistance. He doesn't get that done without Leon and Scully and Jerome and everybody else, right? But off the strength of it being the people around Franklin to keep him centered, or has it actually been Franklin who built this and drove it to where it's at, right? I tend to lean towards the latter because at each of those crucial points, up until we get to this whole Teddy shit when he's chasing down the money, right? Even throughout that, because it's a crazy thing to put a CIA agent in a trap and it actually work for you.
Sure.
That's a 1 in a million shot. So like a guy who can pull that off is now like expecting his oldest friend to empty out his bank account for him at a moment's notice. So you could what? So you could run away? So what? Or no longer gives a damn about what happens to his mother. And wished that the federal agent would have cut off her head. It's like, okay, you're trying to tell me that he's gone, he's mentally broken. Usually, though, you can see some of that crazy prior. In this level of crazy, I don't think we quite got that leading up. I don't think we quite got like.
I think it was at some level what we got throughout season 6, but it was just exacerbated by all the alcohol he was drinking as well. In this episode, specifically.
Like I never seen him threaten a baby before this episode. Never really seen him threaten Veronique.
Sure.
Like, we was getting a lot of stuff that was like wild for Franklin, and so like where I'm saying like, did they give it to us? I'm expecting to be able to call back to a moment where like Franklin spazzed out and he hit Veronique and promised to never do it again, and he is so sorry he didn't even know why he did that. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Or he what?
He pulled a gun on her when she walked up the stairs, but I think that had more to do with.
Yeah, no, that wasn't. He wasn't even trying to. That wasn't it. Or if he'd have threatened his mother in some real way, like if you don't do this, I'm a to his mom. He would never. Would never, even in this season where it's seeming like he really don't give a damn about family at this point, during Jerome's funeral, he has not gotten so crass that he is willing to sacrifice his mother until, what happens, and now all of a sudden she's dead to him.
I mean, it just all comes from the fact that he's broken now that he has nothing. From all of the shit that he did, he has absolutely nothing.
Man, it's crazy. If only he could run as fast as Louis,
Yeah.
If only he had his running shoes on like Louis, maybe he could have lived a semi-normal life.
Sure. We got chats. We got a lot of chats that I've just been kind of ignoring because we just
Now
been
you've been
talking.
building
We
up.
just been shooting the shit. The first main one though is Demarcus Vaughn, $5. Says Franklin Saint treated Sissy and Leon the same way Teddy treated Franklin by saying, "I made y'all, and that's my money."
Yeah, yeah, which is crazy. Which is crazy. Within a day of him saying all of that to Teddy, like, man, you treated me like I wasn't nothing. Like you just took all of it from me. Like, why would you do that? And then has the nerve to stand in front of Leon and say, look, how much money you got all together? He like 3 million. Bet. Cool. Yes. Like he's pumping his fist like it's already in his pockets.
Yeah.
Yo, fam, like I get it. We're trying to push us into a character turn here. And it was like, we're nudging, and then they fucking threw us off the cliff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
It was like, no, fuck you, learn how to swim.
Yep.
Like it was shocking.
Yeah. No, for sure. Effion00 says all the women that was around Franklin destroyed him. Sissy and Veronique robbed him of 38 M's in the span of 2 episodes. That's a fact too.
Well, 38.8 because she got about 800,000 out of the
Oh yeah,
off a loan.
Yep.
Off a loan.
Mm-hmm.
She took out almost $1 million off of a loan on a downtown property.
Mm.
But again, I didn't get my Veronique prediction exactly right because she did end up running in the end. But she was justified.
Sure.
She was completely justified, which again is really fucking me up because this is the same man that 24 hours ago made this woman promise that if this shit didn't go right, that she would leave the country. Then 24 hours later, he's choking her up.
Yeah.
Threatening her life and the baby. So like, is this another person?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Is he a pot person now? No, fuck that. Alcohol make you tell the truth. Alcohol make you tell the truth. But I don't think he was lying about getting his family out of the country if it went wrong.
Sure.
And it definitely went wrong. Why is she even here?
I got nothing.
It went as wrong as it possibly could go. Why are you even still here?
Demarcus Vaughn says Franklin Saint was the demise of the Saint family. Franklin needs to take accountability for his actions. Franklin became the person that he hated the most, his father, Alton.
Franklin was the downfall of the Saint family.
Even though initially he went into it trying to become their come up amongst other people.
I mean, okay, so yeah, the CIA agent he was working for killed his father, and then his mother ends up killing said CIA agent as revenge and also to try to save her son. So yeah, Franklin is in terms of the family. Now we're not talking about what happened with the business or the spat with Louis or anything like, but the Saint nuclear family, Jerome, Carlton, Sissy. Yeah, sure. I will give you that. And I don't think he ever really addressed that part was missing too. The only person who gets any type of awareness or any type of what's the word I'm looking for when you're sorry? Sympathy.
Sure.
Is Lee. Nobody else gets the satisfaction of Franklin actually being wrong. Which y'all gonna have to riddle me this, man, because there's been so many times where this man did not have to bow down and did not have to give an inch and did. Like that has been consistent with him all the way up to letting Louis keep her life.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I mean, that ultimately ended up leading to Jerome's death. But I could have left you here and my uncle would be here.
Facts.
You can't give me these things and then tell me that he don't do nothing for nobody. He hate the family. Like, yeah, ultimately it was his downfall for what happened to his mother, his father, his uncle. Like, your business led to all of that. Your business, your affairs, your beef led to all of that. But at the same time, if you're trying to convince me that he like weaponized the business, or he was part of the problem with Louis, or this spat with Reed, it's like, but none of that was the case. So if you're just telling me that he should have never started selling drugs in the first place, well, yeah, but we would never have Snowfall. We would never have the show. Yes, he should have never sold drugs in the first place. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But since we all, at a certain point, were on board with it, and we were trying to make this thing work, now we kind of got to address it in a different light. We can't look at it from the standpoint like, oh, well, you always going to be wrong for bringing this on our family. You working at that shelter, ain't you? So let's ease up off of that just a bit.
Fair enough. Effion00 says, man, Sissy got nerve to sit in prison with arrogant self-righteousness. This is worse than the DA that got Navarro arrested in the last season of Ozarks. Then he said the women were the demise of the Saint family. Veronique cleaning those real estate accounts was cold-blooded because he had a chance, and she was just backdooring not once, like twice in a span of, 5 scenes?
I had a chance to do what? Had a chance to do what?
Had a chance to get his...
Had a chance to do what? And on top of choking her out, right? Keep this. On top of choking her out, the man sold every other property that they owned. Every single one, he sold it so that they can make one mortgage payment on that downtown property. Mm-hmm. He has no plug. He has no army. He has no friends. He has no prospect to make another $1 million payment in the next 30 days at all. He's completely sunk the enterprise himself. Want him to take out more money on the real estate project?
If I'm not mistaken,
and he can't pay back.
He specifically said that by selling the properties, that the downtown property would be good, like for good. That's how I understood it.
How? So wait, he outright bought it, like he purchased it with all of that? I feel like he would have done that from the...
He said that for whatever reason, it gave him enough cash flow to take care of the downtown.
Not because I think that's what Veronique was trying to say. Like, they were late. They were getting ready to default on a payment. Right. They needed that payment. Mm-hmm. He sold them other properties to get that money together. Because, I mean, he couldn't have got too much more than that $1 million for some Southside properties. Couldn't have got that too much. And look who he sold it to. He had to cut him a deal because he sold it to the racist property owner that his mama used to work to, that he's been clowning her for working for the last 5 seasons. That was crazy. What in the fuck? There's no one else in Los Angeles you can sell these properties to at a low price? Yo, like, that's what I'm saying by on the nose. Like, they laying it on thick. They're turning him into another person. Like, I don't give a damn. Like, you go out there and hand out flyers. I got 20 properties going. 950,000. Best offer. But I'm definitely not going back to the racist who used to torture my mother for fun. Sure. Except when I'm in I'm ghost mode, or I'm saint mode, you know.
Yeah. DeMarcus Vaughn says it would be crazy if Mel could come back and get Franklin clean.
Hey, yo, a Franklin male redemption arc in the spinoff would be absolutely nuts. It would be absolutely nuts.
I think it would make things come full circle, though.
You think it'll make things come full circle? Yeah. He murdered her father. He murdered her father.
She went through a whole, religious, like Scully almost.
He got her hooked on crack. Well, indirectly got her hooked on crack and then killed her daddy.
She would forgive it. Because of what she went through herself. She would forgive it. I think so.
Okay. Because of what she went through herself. Yeah, did she kill anybody's parents?
No, the whole religious shit she went through. The whole spiritual shit she went through.
she maybe forgive him for what he did. Maybe. Ain't no way on God's green earth she's ever going to sleep with this man again. Talk to this man again, let alone be in a relationship with this man ever again.
I'm pretty sure he just said, get Franklin clean. I don't think he said they would be together forever.
Oh, well, sure. Okay. Okay. Sure. If she gets him off of the alcohol. Okay, fine. I'll maybe take, like, she gets him into rehab, but that's about as far as she going.
Anyway, FBeon00 says, to see Franklin turn into a junkie in the form of alcohol, so he turns into his father. Come on, man, I really don't like this episode. Then he asks, do y'all think the writing in this episode dealing with the character dialogue with Franklin could have been better due to the inconsistencies of his actions and outbursts? I don't know that they were necessarily super inconsistent, considering they did show him with the bottle chugging throughout his incoherent outbursts.
But alcohol is not, it's not cocaine. It's not,
sure.
It's not mushrooms. It doesn't make you hallucinate. Everything he's doing, he wants to do. He just has less filters about not doing it because he's has alcohol in his system. But he has never been. He's not crazy right now. He's just. It's very manic. Like the whole episode felt manic. It felt like a
with
episode.
Everything that happened, he obviously snapped, and then the alcohol didn't help. On top of that. Is what I'm saying. And plus, they didn't show us how much he was drinking. They just kind of showed a bottle every now and then. I don't know.
I guess.
Lord of Brooklyn.
No, but to answer his question, though, about the dialogue, I do feel like, in comparison to all of the other actions we've been getting from Franklin this season and in seasons past, it was very off-putting, to say the least. Like, I won't go as far as to say that it was inconsistent, because I think where they were trying to get is what you just explained. Like, in all of the, in all the things that just arose with Teddy and his mom, he had a mental break, and now all of a sudden, he's a completely different person. I don't think that it's that drastic of a shift. Right? You usually see some negative character traits in a person that are about to snap. And the only thing that we've seen out of Franklin thus far is that he's greedy as hell. Right? But we have not seen him be disloyal.
Sure.
We have not seen him betray a deal. We have not seen him throw anybody under the bus that didn't deserve it. We have not seen him put the life of his child in danger. Even through his lust for this money until this episode.
He didn't seemingly become disloyal in this episode until it turned out that people started turning their backs on him.
No. He was disloyal from the jump. From the very ask of Leon, give me every dollar that you have. He don't have no loyalty to nobody. Because how the hell I'm supposed to survive, nigga? What am I supposed to do? What you think they gonna do when they find out you ran out of here with all the money? You in here talking in front of everybody. What you think they gonna do?
They're not gonna
but you don't care. You don't care because you know what I'm saying? I can't pay nobody. But as long as you get out of Dodge, right? So yeah, he's not being loyal in this episode at all. He goes to the prison twice to see his mother. It's absolute trash. Both times. It's garbage. Absolute garbage.
But both of those times, specifically, you're addressing times where he would have perceived somebody turning on him. Sissy not sitting there, blank face, not talking to him.
That's his mother. That is his mother.
Sure.
And they have never had an interaction like that. Even after her brother got killed.
Right.
Man, come on, man. They've never had an interaction like that.
Yeah. That's exactly, I think that's my point. Is that's when he started to feel like literally everybody was turning on him. His mom's sitting there in prison, not talking to him. Leon won't give him the money. V just took all my money and just dipped off. And that's when you start to see like a severe mind break in him.
Then I guess the idea was just that, all right, well, Boom. He had a mental break, and now he's a different Franklin. The old Franklin's gone and dead, and this is a new person. I guess.
Yeah.
And if that's what we're left with, then okay.
Which is not something, obviously, I don't think any of us expected. I don't think any of us expected that. I don't think any of us expected.
I feel like that was the most basic answer to give us about how this ends, is that he spirals out of control and loses everything. I feel like that was the most basic answer they could have given us.
I feel like
it didn't take a whole lot of thought to say, okay, let's think about this. What happens if Franklin loses the money? And then wait. On top of that, Sissy goes to jail. Go. Okay, well, he's obviously fucked and he's gonna go crazy.
Here's my
end of Snowfall. End of Snowfall.
At the end of the whole safe situation, when he got severely depressed that there was only $12,000 in the safe, I thought
Please tell this whole story.
I thought, we still haven't even started talking about the episode.
No. Tell that situation, but just go all the way through the end of it, because this is where I full on facepalm. But go.
Well, I think everybody facepalmed. I hope everybody would have facepalmed. But anyway, obviously, the guy who he had checking for people, the PI, the private investigator that he had looking for.
Top notch.
Yes.
Top notch.
Yes. He went and talked to Franklin and said, "Look, bro, I'm done. I'm not looking for V, yada, yada, yada." But then said, "I'm leaving, but here's this file." And the file had information on Peaches. Oh my God, we found Peaches. Which...
Now,
called it.
That's what he been going for a season and a half for? Was for that? What was my nigga coughing for? What was all of that? Do you cough a lot when you do heroin? Was that a thing? You have a nasty cough when you do dog food? What?
You know what? I'll give you to you that was weird, because they showed the track marks in his arm, so obviously he's injecting.
So like they were definitely trying to tell us, no, he shot up $5 million. Yeah. What? He robbed the biggest drug dealer in the California of $5 million to buy a house, get high, and die. That's what that was.
We thought that when we saw that he had robbed him. That was one of the theories that we had for what
I thought he had AIDS. And he was going somewhere quiet to die.
That was one of the other theories. But
I thought he had AIDS.
Him taking the money because he was on drugs was also one of the theories.
So my thing is, okay, cool. So he stole the money to get high, right? Why we couldn't find him sooner? If this is where he's been at.
Him being 25
minutes. He bought a house, Josh. He bought a house. Top notch. What the fuck are you doing, fam? Sure. You mean this man purchased the house
25
miles away?
Yeah, no.
Hey, Top Notch, you suck. I'm glad you're not looking for Veronique no more. You suck.
No, that's crazy. That is crazy.
No, but then even that's inconsistent. He found out Teddy McDonald had an ex-wife, found out he had a husband, had a girlfriend that was sitting around where she lived, found out where his father was. But you can't find Peaches 25 miles from you after he just purchased a house?
Yeah, that was a little nuts. But you know
what? Why do we
save
it for now?
I was gonna say I would blame that on them wanting to have like a big, Peaches has been gone and here he is.
Y'all should have did that in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Y'all should have did that in the middle of the season. Sure. Like Top Notch is like, yeah, I don't got nothing left on Reed, but I finally found your man's. And he like, boom, oh shit, he might still have some of this money. Let me go see what's up with him. In the middle of that, instead of, yeah, man, it's been shit. By that time, it's already been 3 years. It's already been 3 years by the time he tracks down Peaches. What are you looking for, Frank? So you telling me this man been batshit crazy for 3 years? He hasn't had one single moment of clarity that would tell him, okay, it's over. Like, it is completely done. It's completely done.
No, bro. He been drunk this whole time. Actually, I don't know that at that point had reached 3 years yet. I think that was like 6 months later or some shit.
It was like 2 years at least.
Maybe.
Because it was like it was one. Well, I don't know. Maybe 1 year.
I wrote it down. I think
Might have been 1 year at that point.
let's see. Yeah. No, the 2 years later had not happened yet. This was 3 months later.
This was 3 months after the shooting. Okay.
Franklin is drunk and has visited. So when he yelled at Sissy and they had to take him out of the prison, it was 3 months later. They did a time jump, and it was 3 months later. And he was still hitting the bottle. He was still fucked up. And then somebody paged him, and then it was the investigator. And then the investigator still hadn't found V. So, yeah, that was 3 months later after him, After Veronique taking the 800,000, and then he went and visited Sissy and started yelling at her. So, still, the fact that he was so close and yet didn't fight him until now is a little nuts. I will admit that. I will definitely admit that.
What have you been doing?
Nothing. Lord of Brooklyn, BK for Life says, Sunrise, the redemption of Franklin Saint. That's hilarious. Instead of Snowfall, Sunrise.
Sunrise.
Everything is there for a redemptive story. FEI mentions the mortgage payment. Lord of Brooklyn then says, Drunken Saint mode. Franklin saved her as well. Don't forget the crack house rescue. I think he was talking about Mel.
Who's that?
Mel?
No, yeah.
And then it says, I am not pro Sissy. Wait another 10 seconds and then pull the trigger, which is still facts. I'm glad they also mentioned that too.
Like, where we at? Yeah, man, because I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. Franklin get that 37 million before Reed dies. He probably takes his mom and runs, like makes her run with him. They probably on a plane somewhere. They done got the fuck up through. It's gone. We out.
Yep.
We're out of here.
Yep.
And we probably don't have this story. I don't know, man. I don't know what I wanted for an end. Like, I didn't. Maybe I just wanted them to end up being the Black Rockefellers, you know?
Oh, you know what?
Like how Ozark ended. Ozark didn't end like this. And them people was out there doing all kind of run. Yeah. They murdered. Wendy murdered her own brother. Spoilers for Ozark if you haven't. Sorry.
Well,
but you talk about reaping what the hell you sow. They sure as hell made it out. Yeah. So it's when we talk about having all of these like these black drug shows and how redundant it feels, right? Snowfall really stood out of that, right? It is just another black drug show, but at the same time, it started out with John Singleton. The cinematography was excellent. The storyline was very good. The plot was very good. The dialogue was believable. This show stood out, and it continued to stand out and set itself above the rest of those, you know, your Powers and all of that other BS, right? Well, not to call Power BS necessarily. I'm saying like y'all know the shows. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Of Power has been BS.
Well, we won't go there right now. But it felt like they took a turn back into what's supposed to happen when black people sell drugs and get rich. Because as much as we know that to be the truth, and as much as we can think about examples where that happens, there are so many other people who are able to cartel their criminality into something real that lasted. And I feel like that is more of an atypical ending to a story like this that Snowfall had a chance to do. Snowfall had a chance to deliver on it, and they kind of just gave us the typical ending to this type of story. And the overarching lesson ends up being, oh, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Well, it seems like to me the message is it's not worth it for us.
But that sounds like you had an expectation of them to subvert.
I did. I told you I had a lot of expectations. I told you.
I guess maybe because I went into this with no expectation of whether they would go that route or the other way, I wasn't so disappointed. Sure. Right? Like,
yeah, no, I did some of this to myself because I wanted so badly for it not to be the ending to Ghost and Power. Like, I just did not want it to be that. And the more and more we start falling into that mania, it was like, oh man, that's exactly what we're about to do. It's just about to be a pitfall. He's either about to die or he's going to be infinitely worse than what he started out being.
Yeah. I know what I was going to say. I forgot that the reason I mentioned the whole Peaches thing is because for a second there, before obviously he killed Miguel, which was he didn't have to do that, but I think served as further karma for his later downfall. But anyway,
You know what? I thought about that. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, man, y'all really driving this shit home. Like you're putting our nose in it and you're rubbing it in. Then like also, I think he was trying to set it up as a robbery. Make it look like a robbery. Yep. That's why he told him to put the money in his pocket, and then he shot him. He gonna make it look like the junkie shot him.
Yeah.
But and that's probably why he ended up, skirting that. Nobody ever came looking for him about the murder or nothing like that. So man,
I keep forgetting to say it. The reason I mentioned that is because I thought he was going to shoot himself when he saw that there was no money in there. And if that would have happened, that wouldn't have gave me any more than what ended up happening.
I didn't. I was not looking for as much as the signs were pointing towards it. I was not looking for the nihilistic ending for the Saint family.
Sure.
After everything that had happened, right? Like I was looking for the Black Clintons, the Black Kennedys, the Black, That's what I was looking for. I was looking for one of these stories, even though it's wrong, right? Even though what we're talking about is illegal, tell the story the way that it actually happens. Because we can go back as far as slavery to tell you how a lot of these older, rich, long, old money families got their wealth from. Why not the Saints? It doesn't make them any better. It doesn't make them a more, virtuous family. It makes them just of the likes of all the other uber wealthy criminal families that exist in this country already. Mm-hmm. So we're already telling a story that's not close to the truth, because what happens to Louie isn't what happens to her. Who they made her after. What happens to Franklin isn't what happened to Freeway. So we already doing fiction, right? We're getting fantastical with it. Yeah. Why not take a leap? Why try to force the realism on something that hasn't really been about accuracy to this point?
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what. So I honestly believe, at least judging off of the reactions to people who said they didn't like it when I saw on social media, not specifically yours, but because you have a lot of actual points, and maybe that's just because we're giving you the space to speak what you have to say. But a lot of people, it just felt like they don't see happy ending, and so obviously this is terrible, right? And where like the first thing I can think of as far as me stopping using what I expect to happen and just enjoying what's happening in the film is Friday Night Lights, when Odessa didn't win the state championship at the end. Like, I definitely thought, oh, this is going to end in happiness for everybody, and it just doesn't. So from that point on, like, I stopped expecting.
But okay, you didn't have an expectation in that, right? At the end of that movie. But if you did have an expectation,
I did have an expectation in that movie. I expected Odessa to win.
Okay, and when they didn't, right? It was shocking to you.
Yes.
It was shocking to you. It felt like that they was going to come all the way back and win that game. Even up to the last moment when Winchell was reaching out and he gets his body turned back, you think he almost gets close enough, but he's short. And it's a heart-wrencher, and it's shocking, and it makes you stick in the moment. Okay, so apply that to Snowfall. If you expect a bad guy to have bad things happen to him, imagine what happens when he wins and he beats it all.
I understand.
And everything you expected to happen to him after all of this madness he done laid upon his family, he still gets out. It would stand alone from all of these other shows. I just felt like they put themselves on the bookshelf of black drug dramas, and it fits now because of how they ended it. Where it didn't necessarily fit before this season, I didn't think.
Sure.
I felt like this fit more with The Wires, more with like The Sopranos. Like I felt like that's where they were heading.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just way too typical of an end for me.
I guess so. I hear you. I hear you, but I don't know that I was necessarily disappointed by the ending of it. I also really like the shout out to John Singleton with the Boys in the Hood movie that they were filming.
Yeah, movie shooting. Yeah.
That was kind of dope.
Oh, dope.
Story wise, I guess we didn't talk about the fact that Oso made it down to Mexico and he kind of made his little full circle situation.
And they gave him, the wife used the line, left him a message, and he's going to be reunited with his family. Now tell me, everything that Oso has done since he started working with Lucia, right? Tell me that the same ideology that we applied to Franklin, like this was his obvious end, when you deal that much dirt, when you kill as many people as you have, when you're funding an illegal or when you're funding a war based off of pumping illegal drugs into poor black neighborhoods, just like Oso was doing. Mm-hmm. How did Oso end up? Oso got saved by the KGB. Then he saves Franklin, gets on the plane, flies off. Now he gets to, coach kids wrestling in Mexico. And while I'm just sitting here biding my time, waiting patiently, I received a phone call from my family, and now I can go home. The end. You see how his story ends up having a halfway decent ending. Like, yeah, he went through a whole lot of crap, had to relocate his whole entire family, had to stay away from him for years. But at the end of it, he's whole, he's safe, and has a chance to live a normal life with his family. Whereas, I guess the guy who is making more money than him has no shot at that. And it's not even fathomable that he could have something like that.
And the guy that arguably called shots to murder some of his friends and family.
Who's that? Who's talking about?
Franklin.
That's a good point, because Oso has never stepped out against his family, although he did get his brother killed.
Sure.
And that's why he's so on top of his kids and trying to raise them, because he feels a debt to them because he got his brother killed.
And also,
so nobody's. It's like Sissy said, ain't nobody leaving this bitch with clean hands.
Right.
Everybody dipped their hands in this blood. Like I think it was DeMarcus Vaughn that said this. I feel you. Franklin is kind of the scourge on the Saint family if you really boiling it down, because he's at the center of all the deaths.
And therefore has to be the sacrificial lamb.
But at the same time, everybody willingly dipped their hands in this blood.
Yeah.
Damn and Jerome's, the shelter, managing the properties. All of that came off of Franklin. All of it.
But nobody.
If you was gonna play the this is all Franklin's fault, you should have stuck with your first mind and said, nah, we ain't gonna be involved with this. You got to leave our house.
But nobody is living a perfect life with the exception of V. And I guess maybe
I told you V was the most loyal. Told you, dog.
Fuck V. Anyway.
Told you.
Anyway,
told you she was the most loyal.
Sissy's in jail. Louis on the run. Oso, even though he got a call from her, it still hasn't seen her in quite some time.
Yeah, sure. It's not perfect, but they're not wandering the streets in a white beater.
Much more well off than Franklin at the end of it. Sure. For sure.
It looked like Louis been living her best life. She loved horses. She's working on a horse farm now.
Yeah, but she's also literally
with a lovely interracial couple that wants to hide her and keep her safe.
She's hiding how nice for
Louis.
Still.
I mean, so she's on the run, right? She's reaping some of her consequences, but she's not Franklin.
It's not Franklin.
Not Franklin.
Yeah.
And so it's odd to me. Like, all right, well, that's the overarching theme, right? I think we've all established that. But the only person we're going to tell that through is it's like, shit. If that's where we going, nope. Also get picked up by the DEA. They found Louis over here. Her ass going to jail. Sissy about to get life in a day. Leon went back to Ghana and Wanda was hanging up by a tree or some shit. Yeah, let's just destroy everything then.
So
shit,
everybody
that's
going,
where we going.
Everybody going down is okay. Well, if
Scorched earth.
Franklin Saint got to go down, everybody has to go down.
No, that's not it. That's not it. It's if that is the lesson, if that's what the conclusion is at the end of the series, that should probably be a consistent line.
Sure.
Is all I'm saying.
Okay. No, that's fair. We've got a lot more chats. Okay. The Ultimate Human says Peaches spent most of the $5 million paying off Top Notch. I hope that would make sense.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, hey, yo, Top Notch probably getting paid more than Franklin by Peaches and Veronique just to not tell him where they at. Because I'm just really struggling with the idea that this man had Reed's information down to the address on everyone, but couldn't find Junkie Peaches.
Yeah. Yep.
And man bought a house. His name is on a deed.
With a huge ass safe in the closet. Bank safe in the closet. Just chilling.
All type of paperwork with this man's name on it. Probably utility bills.
Facts.
Top Notch was getting paid. You are right.
Peaches' real name. His name is not just Peaches.
I don't know.
Lord of Brooklyn says they can provide an alternate Snowfall finale. I'd tune into that just to see.
I would as well.
What the difference would be, and then obviously that sets up debates for what was the better finale. Like Get Out had a alternate finale that they went with. They went with the right one though. He also said, I don't feel bad given the fact that Rick Ross was betrayed in the creation of Snowfall. I mean, it wasn't officially his life, so.
I mean, but they strayed so far at this point, I wouldn't even be mad.
Yeah.
It strayed so far from what was going on with him, I wouldn't even be mad if I was him.
If you're going to be mad, you're admitting that you became Franklin at the end of that show. Which...
Maybe if we were still in like season 1 or 2, that'd still be valid. But they so far off a Freeway story, I wouldn't even be mad at this point, player.
No, I wouldn't either. Rock B says Denzel mentioned when he did American Gangster that he had to fall in the end. Yeah.
I'm glad he brought that up. Because do you know that Denzel was able to speak to Frank Lucas about American Gangster? He was able to speak to him and get inside about his thought process and what he was doing and with Nicky Barnes. And he wasn't, putting $1 in a styrofoam cup to get a bum to talk to him either. No, it was a person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even somebody like Frank Luke didn't end up like Franklin.
But there are famous drug dealers that have succumbed to the same thing.
No. And again, those are the examples that come to mind that make it so reasonable for this to be a thing for Franklin. It's all the ones that we don't talk about. It's all the people who made it into mainstream media, politics, all kind of shit off of malfeasance that we don't talk about. So the pathway for that to happen is so much less believable. But I still would have liked to have seen them go that route just to continue to buck what is typical for these type of shows, because Snowfall has not been that in totality.
Yeah, it's cool. You like power. Anyway, Lord of Brooklyn says Denzel said the same thing about Training Day, although I believe they filmed an alternate ending where Alonzo survives. He then says Franklin was exceptionally smart. All that intellect and drive just dissipated, which I think they showed us why. I mean, we've been kind of
the why is there, but it's still so shocking. Like I feel like, okay,
absolutely.
If we were gonna go this route, start hammering that joint up in like episode 6. Right? When Jerome dies, boom, okay. We slowly cracking now. Like we're off.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? By then, we should be shoving Veronique, and we should be telling Sissy that she gonna catch a stiff left hand if she talk back to me again. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
That's where we should be at.
That's fair.
If that's where we going. But it can't still be. Yeah, it's just like, damn, where this dude? Who are you?
Yeah. Rock B says, black creatives can't let their imagination go too far with our stories. Reality always has to factor in at some point, i.e., Wakanda Forever. I would not
Ooh
compare.
wee.
I wouldn't compare this
Ooh
to
wee.
Wakanda Forever.
Ooh wee.
I don't know if I would go that
Ooh
far.
wee.
The re-
Don't get me started on a
everything else he
Thursday
said
night.
is legit though. But I don't think I would.
Don't get me started on a Thursday
I don't
afternoon.
think I would. I don't think I would compare that to.
You know what? I might think it is that especially with shows and movies that have become very popular, and this is just me speculating, but like for me, if I were making something that a lot of people liked and enjoyed, and obviously it would be coming from a black guy, it'd be coming from a black man, right? So we one of the other groups, so it's going to be highly scrutinized, and the more popular it gets, the more it grows, the more scrutiny you'll probably receive.
Mm-hmm.
And so within that, you're probably very cognizant of trying to keep things very tight,
Yeah.
and not do anything that's going to delay or derail the momentum that you have going with the show. And so again, we've gone over it. With that being the most likely outcome, I felt like they just kind of drove the car right into the garage, right? They didn't blow right through. They didn't give us an explosive end. They kind of just ended up where they were supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that comes from kind of protecting a good thing. At least that's my speculation of it. Is just not wanting to mess it up and being a little bit timid and trying to take a bigger swing.
Sure. Before I go into the next chat, I do have a deadline article about Damson Idris, and I think the showrunner of the show, Dave Andron or something like that.
Okay.
It's a deadline article that my dad sent me because he wants a producer credit on this podcast. Anyway, so I think it was Dave Andron who said, and I quote, "It's funny because when we talked about whether should Franklin die, there was a contingent of people who felt that was an easy way out. That him dying means he doesn't have to face the damage he's done. He destroyed this neighborhood and did unreal damage to his community. They really needed a helping hand, and what they got was another plague. I think in those terms, the dramatic irony of him having no place to live except for Sissy's house, where he will constantly be faced with what he has wrought, felt like a certain kind of hell. Now he has to be on the street with these junkies who he in some way is responsible for. The dramatic irony of that felt right to us."
See, and so for that, now that I have an answer on that, you're selective. You're selective. You want that to be the overarching theme, is that all right, well now you have to endure the wasteland that you brought this community, except nobody else that helped him do it does. Except the people who literally thrust him into doing this gets to die. Franklin himself doesn't get to die. The man who hit him with the car and started making him sell drugs to fund a war in South America, he gets to die and escape his consequences. Ones that he probably would never even see because he couldn't even come to the realization that he brought this scourge of problems. Him. They could have found somebody else's neighborhood to go sell crack in. Reed spearheaded them and put it in the neighborhoods that he needed it to move in, where the government needed it to move in.
Would Reed actually feel anything, considering he felt much more worse about
that's what I'm saying. He's not going to feel it.
He felt way worse about the people he was selling guns to than the people he was selling crack to.
Sure, whatever. He's not going to feel the consequences. My point is, what they said is, it would have been a cop-out to let Saint die and not have to endure all the hurt that he's brought this community. Does that not apply to Louis? Does that not apply to Oso? Does that not apply? They all selling drugs to the same people. It doesn't matter at what level in the operation you all work to the same goal, to get cocaine in America, to sell rock cocaine to junkies on the street, to make money, to then send back to the plug to buy more cocaine, and then he uses that money to buy guns to send over to South America for a faux war. Everybody is connected in the same wheel. So it is very odd, given Saint's position in that wheel that he is the only one that has to wear the harshest consequences. Where does Lee come into this? Lee turned the whole projects into a wasteland himself 2 times over. After he called himself being enlightened, he went back to do it again, fought to get it. Where is his, you know what his penance might be, or his punishment? I don't know if you caught it or not, but when Lee is talking about Wanda, he's like, yes, it's complicated, but she's doing okay.
Yes.
They might have split after she went to Ghana.
That's what they were maybe hinting at, but yeah, no, I caught that for sure.
So yeah, I guess Lee's consequences that he has an estranged wife. Damn, I would have loved for Saint's only consequence to be that he had an estranged wife. You know what I'm saying? But it's so much worse. And even though Franklin, again, his greed was unmatched in this show, you can't convince me he was the worst person, that he alone should have to wear the responsibility of what happened here. Come on, man. Come on. I watched 6 seasons of the show. I know that's not how it went down.
I got a question for you once I read the rest of these chats that I think might help you, maybe, and how you rank everything. I think we already talked about it, but I'll ask you again. Anyway, Lord of Brooklyn says, I thought it was going to be like Black Caesar, where Franklin dies right where he gave birth to the business. I didn't see Black Caesar, so I don't know. Polo Boy says, I thought the Oso thing at first was going to be a setup.
I did too. I was like, that's the DEA, boy. That is the DEA. Yep. Trying to draw you out.
Yep. Lord of Brooklyn then says, Franklin can make a comeback. Alton did so in the circular dynamic. Franklin's rise is coming. Which, I mean, maybe
we could see Franklin again. We could see Franklin again in the spinoff. And I don't want to indict the entire series, man. What my criticisms here are solely on episode 10 and episode 10 alone. Okay, we've had an action-packed season 6. I've loved just about every minute of it. Every minute that didn't have Louis included. So yeah, most of it. It has truly been a great series overall. I think it is well above average. I just don't think they stuck the landing. And sticking the landing is hard.
Yes.
Sticking the landing is extremely hard, especially for a beloved show. So I'm not doxing the show because of that. I'm just saying the last episode didn't hit for your boy.
The question I was going to ask you essentially was going to be if you had to watch it all over again, knowing what you know now, and you stopped it at episode 9, would this still be considered one of the?
I think it would have been so much more explosive to end this series on Sissy killing Reed, and then we're left on that cliffhanger until the spinoff. But this felt more like an epilogue. This last episode, it kind of felt like an epilogue. It felt like a bridge into somewhere else that I don't think we necessarily needed. Like, if we just wandered in and ended up in the 90s when this new story starts, I don't feel like we would have been any worse off than where we are now that we got episode 10.
Sure. That's true. I give you that. Even though they ended in the 90s too, I think they ended in 1990. So, obviously, because Leon...
The series is probably going to be a little bit further on, yeah.
Okay. Effion says, I thought the KGB guy killed that DEA agent, but he was just knocked out with that car crash. Yeah, I guess so, because
he sure did kill him. Yeah,
he did show up. Lord of Brooklyn says Louis is the most evil character in the show.
and she's on the lam and she's running, but she's alive and she's healthy and she has a potential to get the hell out of here.
Sure. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not destitute. So... She is not. She's not gone and lost to the world. Yeah. She's still her. Yeah. So where's Louis? Louis took that operation to a whole nother state. So everything you putting on Franklin, put it on Louis 2 times, because she helped him build it here, and then she took her own shit to Arkansas.
It's literally an interstate trafficking.
Where is Louis? Where does she have to suffer in it? I guess running from the law. That's what it is. Leon, probably either got divorced or they're separated. Louis on the run. Also had to spend some time away from his family. Man, Jesus Christ. He worked right directly with the CIA. But he gets to, he gets to spend a little bit of time in exile and then he gets to go back. Sissy spends the rest of life in jail. Veronique gets a whole lot of money and gets to be a single mother. And
do we know
Franklin,
she's even single? She might not even be single. She might
not even be single. Yeah, you're right. She might not even be single. But then Franklin is a drunk. He's broke. He has nowhere to live. And he's going to wander aimlessly until one day he kills over somewhere. So by that series of events, and what the logic is that you have to reap what you sow. Franklin was the worst character. Is what that's driving home. Which that's not what you gave us.
Sure. William Moloch gave us a black fist. Shout out to William Moloch. Sir Yeetus says Sir Yeetus is a new name. Sir Yeetus says Louis will forever be on the run and looking over her shoulder. Facts.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Human then says, so Dion took back over. I would assume so. There's literally nobody else left to take over. Unless
he came to his senses too and went the hell on somewhere and did something else. Maybe.
Probably not. We're talking about Dion.
I would have liked to have seen what happened to Einstein.
That's literally the next. Well, yeah, one of the next ones. Yeah, but no, I agree. Which could happen in the spinoff.
Spinoff, yeah, that makes sense. Be a grown man by then, or close to it.
Yeah, he might be some kind of intern or
producer or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Or fashion designer since he's making RIP t-shirts.
Yeah, I think that they showed us that for some reason. You may be on to something with that.
Wouldn't be the first time I predicted something this season.
Oh, Lord.
Peaches, V running off with the money. That's about it. Oh, Franklin not getting his family. I think that's about it.
My man never even got to see his son, y'all.
Tragic.
He never even got to see him. Can I bring something else up? So when they first got Reed, and he called Veronique, something happened to Veronique. Right? Like, she dropped down to the ground like she was going into labor.
Yeah, there was something there.
In this last episode, she didn't even look pregnant no more. She didn't even look pregnant in this last episode, man. I don't know if it was just the lighting or what she was wearing. She didn't even look pregnant anymore. So I was thinking, like, yo, why did that never come up? The fact that she dropped down and felt like she went into labor. She never says anything to Franklin about it. She never brings it up to anybody else. What was that? Why did they do that? And they showed it to us specifically. Like, she hangs up the phone, drops down to her knees, clutches her stomach, and it is almost like she's going into labor. And then she never mentions it again.
Yeah, the fact that she doesn't mention it again is a little weird. I mean, I guess I could see it as a really bad contraction, but yeah, I don't know. They never mentioned it again.
Why did you show us a Braxton Hicks contraction? Why did you show us a false contraction? What was the point of that?
Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing. Continuity error, maybe? I
don't know. I don't know.
Yeetus says Pride was Franklin's downfall. Hydroglyphic says not for nothing, but I wish they provided insight on Einstein's future. Yeetus then says, notice how Franklin got 12,000 like he did in the beginning. He could have started over again with it, but he was blinded with greed and pride. Did he have 12,000 at the beginning?
He started out with 12,000. Yeah, see, you going all the way back to season 1, man. That's
well, I can see that though. Like, you probably started it to kind of give yourself a recap. But yeah, no, I completely forgot about that. That's full circle as fuck. All right, Rock B says, if Franklin followed his woman's lead and liquidated everything, he may have had a few million to work with and start over with another hustle.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. And again, the Franklin that we know would have played that shit with the dude, the black businessman, altogether different. Yeah. We were discussing it, but we haven't come to any decisions yet. We'll reach out to you when we have something more, and then go talk back to Veronique. This guy is so caught up in thinking that somebody trying to rob him that he shoos off his parachute and then goes back and chokes his pregnant girlfriend. That's not that ain't the guy you've been showing me all this whole time. This show wouldn't have been that interesting if it was.
Well, I thought we came to the conclusion that this was definitively a different Franklin, one whose mind is snapped and corrupted by alcohol.
That kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. You got to leave that alcohol thing out of it.
No, I think I don't think it was like the main thing. I think it was just your mind breaks and then you're adding on top of that. That's the only reason I mention it. I don't think it's the main thing, though.
I will get over it in time.
Last thing I got here, chat-wise, is Yida says, Franklin lost everything but got freedom. Louis wanted everything but lost her freedom. Sorry, but I felt some type of way when Franklin's girl took everything. Couldn't even leave him something. Facts.
She could have left my nigga a little bit of money.
You know?
It was that much money in there. You could have left me 50,000, 75,000. You didn't have to take all 800.
We have to talk about the real villain of this story is the women, because Sissy could have waited 10 seconds and V could have left him a little bit of something.
Oh, man. She didn't have to take all 800,000. The only rationale I'm going to offer up, though, is like, look, I am definitely going to be raising this child by myself. So, like, the relationship is done at this point. So if she about to raise the kid, you would want to have as much money as possible, I guess.
Plus, who's to say that Franklin wouldn't use whatever money she gave him to track her down?
Her down, right? If I take all the money you have left, how you gonna find me? I got all the money that you would have paid Top Notch. That's why Top Notch can't find me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of logic to it.
Is she also giving him a percentage to keep her location discreet?
Yeah, her and Peaches was both paying that man for years, for months.
Crazy. Top Notch is fucking rich. Maybe he should have robbed Top Notch.
I can't make myself be mad at Veronique because, again, every time we expected Veronique to pop off and do some shady shit, she didn't.
True.
She stood up to her mom over Franklin. She stood up to Sissy over Franklin. Sissy told her to shut the hell up.
That shit was funny.
It was not until this dude Franklin threatened both her and the baby's life that it became, okay, now let me put my expertise to use. Yeah. Right? We all expected it. Well, not me, but y'all all expected it coming on at any moment that he was vulnerable. And it wasn't until he turned on her, because, again, we had never seen that part of Franklin ever, not even against Mel, who shot him. He wasn't even violent against Mel, who shot him, who made it possible for maybe him never to walk again. He put no hands on Mel.
Facts.
But he did it to Veronique. I can't fault her for that. And she pregnant, y'all. Somebody got to protect the baby. I can't be mad at her. Now, taking the money is a little something different, because I don't think you need $800,000 to raise a child. But, I don't know.
That's a good bit of money, especially in 1990.
It made sense logically what she did. It did feel a little bit sour when my boy was sitting there with dry mouth.
And the red eye.
Mm-hmm.
Posh Garcia says, back to season 1, Franklin said he wanted his freedom on his terms, and he got it. I don't know if this was the freedom he envisioned, technically.
He was looking for it. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. Laura Brooklyn says, Sam returns to California for one of the high school friends' funerals, where she learns about Franklin being homeless and an alcoholic. Who is Sam? Why do I feel like I remember a Sam, but I don't remember a Sam? I don't know. Effion00 says, see, I was right about the women. They was unremorsefully ruthless in their actions. Facts. They were the true villains. Louis, V, and Sissy. True villains.
I will give you Louis. I don't know about Sissy, because, again, Sissy, what they actually showed us, what we know now about Franklin, he didn't really need that money. He ain't really need that money.
Sure.
He ain't really need that money.
Yeah.
Who else? Veronique. Nah, man. Veronique good, man. Veronique's good.
Veronique didn't even give him enough so that he can get a $10 beer from the store that he worked at as a kid.
Okay, boom. Look, your sister call you and be like, "Hey, yo, look, my baby daddy tripping. He just choked me up. I'm pregnant. My body hurt. I don't know what to do. He going crazy. He's out of his mind. He's not doing or saying any of the things that he usually does. What do you think I should do? Y'all gonna tell her to leave the man some money?
No.
Y'all gonna tell her to leave the man some money? No.
Even if
You
that
gonna
wasn't
say,
like
pack
this.
your shit and get every dollar you got access to and get the hell out of there.
Sure.
Is what you gonna tell him.
Sure.
Don't be mad at Veronique.
For what it's worth, I can't say Wanda's going to die anymore, so now I have to take my anger out somewhere else.
You're a hater. But yeah, be mad. Definitely be mad at Louis. There's no redemption for that Louis character. I'm actually mad that she's still alive. If you mad at Sissy for not waiting a few seconds for Franklin to get his money before she killed Betty, okay, I see it, I understand it, I hear it. I ain't gonna take no Veronique slander from y'all, man, because she was really down, like she really was. More than Louis, more than Sissy, more than anybody else around him, honestly. She was there. And had Franklin not put his hands on her, she would have stayed there. She even took his old woozy ass tongue lashing that he gave her over just getting a price to buy out their stake, which was the best financial option for them at that point.
Yeah, no, that's facts. That's facts.
But he was off the reservation, and as you told me, this isn't the Franklin we know. He drunk. And so he choked her up like Ike did Tina.
He snapped, and he was drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeda says this show is definitely a tragic tale. Who knows how many homeless drug addicts who went through a similar tale like Franklin. There's probably some
like Franklin?
Well, there's probably
the drug kingpin, the junkie pipeline is nuts. That's nuts.
Let the drug addicts tell it. They were the man back in '86. So
yeah, blouse boy. That's what they would like you to believe. That all of these guys that's making all this money and doing all this, they eventually end up on the street and strung out or in jail and dead. And meanwhile, the bootlegger who used to sell wine during the Prohibition is our governor who's been elected 10 times over.
Or president and presidential nominees.
Oh, right. Or yeah, the real estate tycoon who is notoriously known for discriminating against blacks ends up being the president. So yeah, tell me more about how it only could have ended badly.
Sure. He then says, I see money as Franklin's drug and couldn't have enough. He needed his fix. Yeah, that's at some point, yeah. No, it definitely became that. The Ultimate Human says, don't worry, Wanda can always die in the spinoff. I appreciate you.
Hey, yo, chill on the Wanda hate.
All right. Can I explain it? Now that the show is over, I guess I can explain it. So, before the season started, FX was releasing like promotional material and stuff like that. And they made a video specifically about Wanda and Leon's life. And I'm like, that's kind of like what Marvel does when a fucking character is going to die off. So I just assumed one of them is going to die off this season. And then that just never happened. That was my prediction and it just never happened.
Black love prevails.
You know what? Sure.
Ain't no death today.
Sure.
Ain't no death today.
It didn't in the case of Franklin and V, but... Or Sissy and Alton. or Sissy and Alton. Or Jerome and Louis. But, sure.
Hey, yo, relax. Relax.
We're a good 2 for 5. Got it. Cool. Lord of Brooklyn says, Sissy, wait another damn 10 seconds, which, yes. No, facts.
Yeah, I mean, we all wish. We all wish.
We do. Any other thoughts on Snowfall? We've been talking for a good amount of time on Snowfall.
Nah, man. I mean, we're finally here at the end. It was a nice ride. Glad I took it. Glad we started reviewing it when we did.
Mm-hmm. Started reviewing it right when it got really good.
Yeah, this is gonna go down as one of them ones for sure. I will not hold back from criticizing that last episode, but I can't say, enough good things about this series, about Damson Idris's performance. Man, Man, and I really hope it's recognized the amount of range I think he has as an actor. So whatever success he has after this show is well deserved. Shouts out to John Singleton, for bringing this to us, for introducing this world to us, and being the spearhead to things to come. Right, obviously got the spin-off series, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just be excited until we get first looks at that and see where they go next.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, the show that I started off of a whim. I think I signed up for Hulu and they just kept sending me fucking Snowfall ads, and I'm like, all right, this show seems all right. Let's see what this is talking about, and I just watched it. Amazing writing, amazing characters that they brought to life fully from all angles. Yeah, man, this I think this show is definitely gonna be one of the ones, and I can't wait to just watch it all back and relive all the memories from it. And
Yeah.
RP to John Singleton. Uh, Question: did Sissy shoot Freddie because of revenge? She thought Freddie was lying, or both? Freddie or Teddy?
Teddy, I think she planned on killing Teddy the whole time. And when he lied to her, that confirmed what she already thought, that all of this shit is evil and it'll never stop as long as you still chasing this money and you gotta go because you killed Alton and all of this shit is over now. I'm gonna end it now. I'm gonna kill you. Franklin's not gonna get that money, but you're not gonna be moving drugs anymore. If I do this, it's over and Franklin can go live a life. Except Franklin turned into a money junkie and slowly replaced it with alcohol when the money dried up. And then, he lost the house.
Yeah.
The end.
Lord of Brooklyn says 0 is the answer. There is no drug dealer like Franklin in real life. Bro, tell that to the guy who's begging and asking for change on the streets outside right now. Because he told me he was the man in 86. He told me.
Going from losing almost $80 million to living on the street, yeah. Find me home.
Bro,
Find me him.
There is one out there right now on the streets in
The hell it is, man. The hell it is.
Trying to get some bread, trying to get some, trying to get some food to eat. He told me he was the man.
My man built an empire with a single pot and a kilo of cocaine. And now he's so broke he gotta borrow $10 from Leon to get a bottle. Now, I understand maybe not being on top. But god damn, my nigga can't manage a McDonald's.
Definitely thought
he can't manage an In-N-Out. He can't take orders. He can't walk plates to a table. He would rather sit in the house and get drunk all day than have a 9 to 5.
Yeah, because the second he leaves, they're gonna take the house from him.
Gosh.
I'm kidding.
There's no reason to lose the house if you have a steady job. It's already paid for. You just gotta pay the property taxes, fam. You know how stupid it is to lose a house because you won't pay the taxes on it? Especially a house that's paid for? So a house that you can literally dedicate the 33% of your income that you would usually be paying toward housing, towards saving for your taxes at the end of the year.
Nah, bro, he's not saving.
We're doing economics now. But yeah, no, it just, man.
He's spending all his bread on alcohol, bro. Like Sir Yeeta said, alcoholism is no joke.
R.I.P. to the real saint.
The saint that we saw in episode 10.
The saint we know.
The saint that we saw all throughout season 6, including episode 10.
Yes, all through season 6, excluding episode 10, excluding.
All right, are you ready to talk about Bel Air?
Give me 2 seconds. Let me fix my lighting here.
Here you go. Prima donna ass.
No, we always start when the natural light is here and then it get dark. Hold on.
Prima donna ass nigga. Then you're gonna mute. Who the hell does he think he is? Anyway, chat. We about to start talking about Bel Air. That was a really good chat about Snowfall, Franklin Saint. I honestly believe he wasn't the same Saint that we saw in episode 10 that we saw throughout the show, but I thought it was a pretty good episode. Well, I thought it was a decent episode. I do wish that they would have ended it on episode 9, but I don't think it was that bad. Like, I think a lot of people were just shocked at how it ended and just couldn't fuck with it. So, I don't know. I thought it was pretty decent, though. All right, you good? Blurry ass camera. You unmute. Unmute.
Blurry.
You were blurry when you first got on.
Oh, cool.
All right, let me change over to Bel Air. Yo, Bel Air was kind of, I wouldn't say it was disappointing. It was just kind of lackluster for episode 9, I feel like.
Yeah, because I don't know where the hell we going with it in episode 10. So the
Right?
possibilities are endless at this moment.
All right, I am ready to talk about it whenever you are.
Oh.
All right, Bel Air Season 2, Episode 9, just like old times. Phil and G are explaining how Doc and Lorenzo were scamming these kids, and Lorenzo's the guy that Doc saw. Anyway, Will is visibly upset and wants to speak to Doc himself. Drug dealing Connor's teammate pulls up to Carlton to ask his whereabouts, and Carlton claims he isn't his babysitter. Drew and Lisa walk down the hall, and Drew eventually snitches on Carlton, which I thought was some weak ass shit.
He's an absolute loser. I'm surprised you didn't make the joke about Lorenzo dying on Power Ghost and then ending up on in Bel Air.
Damn!
I'm surprised you didn't make that joke.
See, I was trying to rush through the episode because like I didn't see it, but I could have.
But yeah, nah, Drew is an absolute loser. And what was the first thing that happened? Where were we at?
Phil and Jeffrey talking to Viv about who Doc was and all the shit he had going on.
For sure. Yeah. First of all, we told you so, Will. I mean, I don't know where you thought this was gonna go. Just stink of a kid trying to be grown.
Yeah.
We said we were gonna let him handle his own decisions.
Phil,
a great idea.
Phil allows him to do it.
I mean, he knew where it was going. So sometimes you just gotta let him, put your hand on the stuff. Go ahead. I done told you not to do it too many times already. Sure. You go find out yourself.
Sure. Xena and Hype don't give a fuck about what Doc going on because ultimately, that's all they got. That's all they got.
I mean, it did kind of level out. Honestly, I ain't gonna go that far. Never mind. I will say the way that Bel Air handled corruption and the idea of corruption being ever present where there is capitalism very adequately. Because it's wrong and you're going to have a boatload of people mad at you because you're making money based off of decisions that are made on these young men's lives. So how are we supposed to know that you're making it in their best interest? At the same time, if Doc don't come through and scoop some of these kids up, they will never make it to college.
Yep.
And that's just a fact.
Yeah.
So we can deal with morality in these very linear ways, which don't force you to apply nuance to situations or think past yes, no, right or wrong, red, blue, right? If it's not that, then it's something a little bit more complicated. And I think that's what they were doing with the locker room scene. Like, all right, bet, yeah, it's criminal, it's fucked up, but I'm not quitting this team. I'm trying to get to the league. I'm trying to get to the next level. Like, and regardless of how much money he's making on the back end, that's the only thing I came for. As long as he's still doing that, we're good.
Yeah. And most of those kids probably, after visiting some of the colleges, they might have a list, but other than that, it's not like they came into it with the specific college in mind that they were going to, because for some of them, without ball, college wasn't going to be an option. So
an option, right.
Erica pulls up right to Viv's front door, and it seems she wants to apologize for all of the hoeing she was doing when they were young. Phil is at the office, and apparently the acquisition deal includes laying off 50% of his staff. Phil acts like he gives a fuck, but he was ready to up and bail on 100% of them 2 episodes ago. Little nuts.
Erica's sneaky as hell. She's sneaky as hell. I don't trust her. I smelled it out. Like from jump, I knew she was only there to try and smooth over things with Viv so that she could get Philip back into the fold. Mm-hmm. I don't know yet if it is strictly business that she wants that for, or if there's something else. there's a chance that there's something else there.
Sure.
But I definitely don't trust her.
For sure. After Viv gives the tour of her home to Erica, Homegirl says she needs some girlfriends. And after boasting her accolades in the divorce and career fields, Viv tosses the question about the new possible job to her. Phil pulls up and he looks shook as fuck.
Like, hey, yo, what the fuck going on here? What have y'all been doing? Why?
I would have just disappeared like the Homer Simpson meme, just into a bush.
Just back up. Like, I don't want any parts of whatever is happening here.
You know what I mean? Will and Lisa discuss Carlton hanging out with drug dealing. I put drug dealing Carlton. Will and Lisa discuss Carlton hanging out with drug dealing Connor. Will thinks Drew is out for his own selfish interests and then signs his allegiance with Carlton. Carlton still can't get drug dealing Connor on the phone and is clearly worried about it. Texted him, no answer.
Oh, but you know what? Probably because, well, no. I mean, he doesn't know at this point anything about what's going to happen on later in episodes. I really don't even understand why he's... Well, no, this is... Okay, so you know what? I watch so much stuff in between watching Bel Air. It's like Bel Air is like one of the last things I watch during the week. And then I'll go through Succession. Then we do, obviously Power and Snowfall and Mandalorian and whatever other weekly show it is. By the time I get back to Bel Air the next week, I feel like it has been weeks off since I've seen it.
Sure.
But we're picking up right after the day after that whole shit happened with Carlton losing the car and not remembering what happened to it and all that other shit. So he's trying to get his story straight.
Yeah.
He's trying to line his stories up with homeboys and he can't get in touch with him to give him a story to tell.
Yeah.
So that's why he's probably reaching out to him.
Yeah. Karrueche must have needed a couple episodes off because she's finally showing her face in the house that she invested in.
Yeah, came back to do absolutely nothing. Where
the hell she been? Coco Jones is throwing a party at LaMarcus Alton's house. After Karrueche asks for a billboard, LaMarcus kisses Coco Jones on the cheek. After getting a notification about Jazz, Karrueche tells Coco to worry about her future.
You know what? I ain't even worried about homeboy. I'm not worried about baller receiver. You know why? Because LaMarcus Alton is Trevor. And Trevor died tragically in a skydiving accident, which freed up Hillary for Jazz. So I'm not worried about Alton. He's going to fuck it up.
Sure.
He's whining and dining right now. He's pulling out all the stops. He's being the perfect guy. He hasn't been around her enough yet to be the asshole he really is. And it's going to come out. And then the short king himself is going to slide back in there, turntables and all.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So I'm not worried about LaMarcus. You know what I'm saying?
We'll see.
He's temporary.
Is he going to succumb that fate in episode 10?
I don't know. He might make it out of this season with Hillary. He might fuck around and try to propose or something like that, just to really play up the drama of it all.
Sure.
I don't care. Hillary's going to end up with Jazz. I'm calling it. Book it.
All right, cool. Viv and Phil talk about Erica in the new position. Viv seems to now be keen on allowing Phil to move on to Erica's firm and then claim that she's got her eyes on Erica, which, good move. Good fucking move. As you should.
Sure, I don't know how you going to have your eyes on her when they at work, but...
That's a fact, too.
Sure, Viv.
And on work trips.
I know what I better not hear is, oh, and you went to that firm and started working with Erica. I better not hear that shit. You better not hear that.
You might hear that as early as episode 2 of the next season.
I better not hear none of that shit.
All right. Ashley gets her first lines because she's working at the party and fanning out over a TikToker that be talking about injustice and taking care of the planet.
Hey, listen, I loved this episode for Ashley more than I loved any other episode for Ashley.
Just give me my Simply Spiked ad and go.
No, it's like I think the writers heard some of the criticism around Ashley, and you saw it play out in this episode, because the way that they start out, I was like, oh my fucking God, Ashley, just go back upstairs, don't come back down. Go, Judy. I mean,
Sure.
Ashley. Go upstairs and do not come back down.
Yeah.
She was getting ready to start on her. She was about to get her podium, get her soapbox,
Yep.
and get up there waving her flag. As a queer woman of color. Oh, first of all, you black girl, stop with that shit.
Facts.
Second of all,
Facts.
she was getting ready to get into her preach bag again, and it didn't necessarily go the way that I expected it to. So I found that to be a little bit refreshing, and I think that they probably heard some of the Ashley criticism and actually, kind of low key addressed it in a way with Coco Jones.
This is going to lead into a new type of Ashley based off.
Boy, I hope so.
Based off of what
one could hope.
Later. Okay.
And it's not even that hard, man. Like,
It's not.
just make her be a sidekick. Make her be a side addition to whatever side plot is going on in the story. Hillary and Jazz, her mother expanding her art business or getting the new role within the fellowship. Maybe she takes a little bit more interest in law, so she starts working with her dad. It is so simple to make an ancillary character tie into another plot point. They just do a lot trying to insert the social messages using Ashley, so she ends up coming off as the warrior for justice.
I got an idea for you. So the Ashley in the original at for a couple episodes was singing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jazz at the record store. She goes into the record store to buy some record, and she happens to be humming or some shit. Jazz recognizes and goes, "Oh my God, you actually have a voice. You should do something with it." Boom.
I'm cool with that. Yes. Yeah. Because now it gives us something to actually follow along with Ashley. It's a character arc that lasts more than 20 minutes.
Yes.
It actually carries over from episode to episode.
I just wish that for Bel Air. If I see that, I want my residuals. I want my points for sure. Doc pulls up on Will and they talk about the situation. And I can't help but notice that when they face Will, right? So face Will in a way, like they got his back, they got Doc's back. He doesn't have earrings. But when they face Doc, he has earrings.
He got earrings.
So obviously they have some kind of stand-in. And then for like 3 seconds, he starts like shaking like this. Like, I don't know what the fuck that was. Go back to that scene. You'll see him like fucking vibrating. Like, I don't know what the fuck this shit is. But anyway, couldn't even focus on that scene because that shit was happening. Moving on. Drug dealing Connor has become snitching ass Connor as Carlton comes home and sees snitching ass Connor and his Karen ass mama sitting in the living room. Viv wants to discuss.
I've been like, fam, you couldn't go take a shit and call me? You couldn't go sit on the toilet and give me a call before you did this?
Nope.
Send out an SOS or something.
Nothing. I'm chilling in your crib right now. We about to talk about this. I didn't know what was about to happen. Turns out this wasn't actually snitching ass Connor, but Jeffrey pulled up on them. The stories didn't align, but drug dealing Connor saves Carlton's ass with his story. Side note, Carlton had on a Frank Mueller watch. At least it looked like it. It really looked like it.
I mean, his parents are rich, so
I fucking know, but a Frank Mueller watch to a teenager, nuts.
They rich.
Just throwing that.
They're rich. I think it's hilarious that Jeffrey set this whole thing up because even though Carlton probably knows to fear Jeffrey the most, he's not going to because he loves drugs too much. And watching Carlton try to run away from Jeffrey is going to be hilarious. So
Sure. Coco Jones is texting Jazz and wishing him luck on the party, and that's when LaMarcus pulls up with some football players that have Carucci absolutely sprung. After having a convo with LaMarcus about not using him, she erases her text to Jazz. Trash.
So I think, a couple of them are actually NFL players, I believe.
I figured they were. You know, with
NFL they're players, actually NFL players.
It's tougher for NFL players because they have the helmet on all the time. Like you see an NBA player, like I know that guy, but NFL players tougher.
I would be upset by Coco not congratulate my boy Jazz on his, his party or whatever. But I know they just gonna end up back together, so I ain't tripping.
Fair enough.
No, I ain't tripping.
Fair enough. Turns out Erica does always get what she wants because bro pulls up and wants to join her firm. However, at this point, I think Phil is about to pull a slick move, or so I thought. I thought somehow he was going to get that account for the business, which we'll talk about it. But
Yeah, that's
I thought he was going to not also join the firm as well.
okay, yeah,
Like I thought he
yeah.
was going to be like, oh, I got the Garrison account. Maybe not.
Well, I thought this saga was going to end with that bigger firm purchasing Phil's firm, so that he could still work underneath the company, but at his law firm with his partner. That's how I thought it was going to go down.
I feel like he could have negotiated that. That's the crazy thing about it.
I didn't know why that's not where we were going with this. It's like, okay, I want to be employed here. They have a great package set up for me, but I got this whole acquisition thing going on with the company the firm that I built. So, hey, maybe we can scrap some of that compensation and we can just sell the firm to you, and I can work for you that way with all those perks that you were talking about.
You want me so bad, buy my company out, and then I will de facto work for you.
Hold on. It's almost too perfect. You have a company that is utterly horny with you, but not just you, but with the work that you do, right? You have the company that you built specifically to do said work that is dying and needs a buyer.
They're literally willing to do whatever you want them to do, so have them just buy the company.
I mean, but water's wet, so, or it's not, whatever.
You admitted it. Let me mark this.
Yeah, no, I think it is. Maybe it's not. We're not going to have the argument here tonight. The point is that I thought that was a perfect solution, but they ended up having a kind of mutated version of that. Like, yeah, give the Garrison account back so it looks more healthy for the acquisition, and then I'll come work for you.
Yeah. You know what's funny about you not knowing which side of water is what you're on now? Is the fact that when you mention that Effie is Tasha, sometimes I forget. I'm like, do I say she's Angela or do I say she's Tasha?
Yeah.
All right. Will is upset he saw Carlton when drug dealing Connor, and after a heated convo, Will accuses Carlton of using. He damn near gets to the drawer, but Carlton stops him and explains why he's been acting this way. Then he calls out Jackie and Will to tell him to...
Yeah, no, that was weird. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah. But bruh, he clearly got hyper excited when you went for the last drawer. The last one. You know damn well. They did just give up. But yeah, the manipulation about you projecting onto me and you should be asking Jackie that. Nigga, you don't know anything about what's going on with Jackie whatsoever. So I know you just pulled that shit out your ass. Yeah. I know you did.
Yep.
I know you did. He's exhibiting junkie behavior.
Sure.
Someone should be alarmed. See, Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv ain't been around enough drug addicts. That's their problem. They're not worldly enough to understand what the hell is happening to their son.
Facts. Ashley's favorite TikToker won't pull up, and now Coco Jones is using Ashley in the 5-on-5 game. Carucci looks better than JJ McCarthy, but other than that, they look like they're having fun. Just saying. Viv calls Yvette from the fellowship, and she accepts the position. Interesting that after a conversation with your sworn rival 2 episodes ago, you come to the decision.
Oh, I'm much more interested in the ensuing beef between the Aunt Vivians.
No, for sure. I just thought it was weird that your best friend and the person you hated 2 episodes ago tell you the same thing, but you only take the job after the person you hated.
Well, maybe that's a callback to what former relationship that they actually had, right? Maybe they had a much closer relationship than her and old girl, but then all that shit happened with Phil and it destroyed it. And so now that they're trying or seemingly trying to work back towards something, it kind of reverting back to old habits.
For sure. Jazz has Marcus's favorite new group pull up to the event. Coast
hey! I was hype as hell. I was like, oh, that's Coast. Look at Eric Jamal in the back.
Oh, no. Hell no. The names? You was happy about the names?
Coast Contra.
That's crazy. Ashley,
I think I am a rap guy. Thinking I cannot rap God. Okay, Coast.
Oh, shit. Ashley accuses Coco Jones of stalking Jazz and then admits that the live was clearly a cry for attention. Coco then tells Ashley to lighten the fuck up.
Yeah, hold on before we get to that point because that's very important. Another interesting thing about Coast Contra is that they actually went from Philly to LA like Will.
Oh, I didn't know they were from
They
Philly.
are a group of
I remember them saying, "Oh, you from Philly or some shit like that," but I didn't know they were.
yeah, they Philly boys.
I thought they were from New
They
York.
from Philly, and they all moved from Philly out. You gotta listen to the album, bro. You got to listen to the album. Apartment 505. Y'all should all go listen to the album.
I did listen to the album.
Everybody go listen to Apartment 505. But they are all Philly natives who moved out to LA to try and get their rap career popping off. You know what I'm saying? So they some migrants, some cross-state migrants, but much like Will, literally like the Fresh Prince story. So it make a hell of sense for them to actually be on Bel Air. I thought that shit was perfect. That shit was dope.
I just think it's funny that you're so excited about the fact that they got their shine on Bel Air.
Coast no, I'm really happy. Like I really am.
Being on the same level as Sweetie is crazy.
Damn, Sweetie, Carucci. They doing it. They
getting paid to be an actress on the show, but it's Sweetie.
You don't think they got paid?
I could see them not doing that for pay because it's exposure.
I mean, no. If I'm them, I'm doing it regardless. But you don't think they have enough of a name to get paid?
I do think they have enough name to get paid. On Bel Air, though, on Peacock,
I don't know. I just thought it was dope either way. It's rare that you get in on the ground floor on a rapper or a group that's actually dope and that pops. So I'm glad to say that I am one of the first YouTubers that y'all heard talking about Coast Contra. Coast.
Yikes. Phil gets the negotiations back on track because they now have the Garrison account. James gets upset and says that there's no deal. Oh, Phil then says, obviously, that he has to join the other firm to get the Garrison account. James gets upset
and boy, lips start quivering. You say, but I can't do it without you. But I can't do it without you.
Phil then says, and I quote, "Man the fuck up. What the fuck is wrong with you? Be the face of this company now."
Like, I know damn well he not doing all of this, boy. You pissing down your leg already. Hey, I didn't want to just slide past the Ashley and Hillary conversation where she told her to chill the fuck out. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for putting us all in the audience at ease about some of the Ashley criticisms, that it wasn't falling on deaf ears and that you weren't calling us toxic trolls for thinking it. Yeah, Ashley be talking her social justice stuff a lot. Like, she waves her flag a lot. All of them at the same time. At every event she appears at. And so Coco Jones telling her, like, look, man, it's good. And you know what? It's not so uncommon for that to be when younger adults, young teens have somewhat of a political awakening before they get into high school or college. So, like, now you just start looking for the bad shit in everything. Right? You look for the negatives in everything. Oh, this is corrupt, and this is racist, and this is misogynistic, and this is this, and this is this, and all the isms are flying out because you're learning all this shit as you go, and you start realizing that all of this stuff exists where you didn't see it before. So it can have a very nihilistic effect. But I think with Ashley, it was more so of her trying to be on the right side of everything. Like, you trying to save the world. It's okay to be a kid sometimes.
Yeah, oh yeah. For sure.
Like, it's okay to just be a child. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to stand up for yourself. Sometimes you have to say things that you believe in and stand by it. Other times you can just live and just not speak. You know, you could just be here and be present.
Sure, absolutely.
I.e., writers, since y'all telling me that clearly out of y'all's own mouth, I should see something more than whatever social issue we're addressing at the moment for Ashley in the seasons to come.
We'll see. We'll see. William Moloch says, "Can't worry about everything. You'll lose your mind." Facts. That's a fact. Will pulls up to meet Coast Contra, but it turns out the real reason bro pulled up is to get the keys to Jazz's crib, which is a part of the record store. I don't think I ever realized that.
Yeah, it's on top.
Yeah. So he got the keys to the crib to have some alone time with Jackie. Jazz has been eyeing the door for Coco Jones this entire time.
All night. Man, listen, bro. I know the feeling. Know the feeling that like you've been waiting on her, 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 and then when she finally waiting on you, all of a sudden you mixed up in something that you probably don't even want for real.
Yeah.
That you probably ain't paying no attention to. And then you probably immediately went back looking for her, and then all of a sudden she saw it, and now it's a problem. Now, because she feel the way, she about to go do something that's probably ill-advised, and the whole situation messed up because you didn't have your head on a swivel. Been there, done that. Shit sucks.
She clearly just wanted LaMarcus Aldridge because she couldn't even give my guy the end of the hook to just dip out.
Nah, they both petty because if you wanted her there, you should have texted her and told her to pull up.
Well, that's a fact. That is a fact.
And then her just showing up and not actually sending that text that she sent earlier and saying, hey, yo, I'm on my way, to let this man know that you're coming. Like you popped up on my man's, and then when he wasn't ready for you to be there, you kind of took what you saw at face value and you didn't ask no questions and you didn't even talk to him. You just bounced and reacted. So they're both petty to a certain degree, and that's why there was no chance for reconciliation.
She didn't even give him 2 bars of the hook. Not the full hook.
Look, there was no chance for reconciliation at this point right now because they were both being headstrong about the situation.
Sure.
Right? That's how they broke up in the first place. They was both being stupid.
Yes.
They're both being dumb. So with that being the situation and that not really changing up until this point, they can't come together on anything right now.
Yep.
So she got to take her little penance with homeboy until he start treating her like arm candy again, and then she'll realize where it's really at with the short kinks like yourself.
You didn't have to throw that in there at that last.
But no, you always be like my short king.
Sure, I champion the short kings. But
I wanted the people to know that you are a representative and an elected official of the committee. That you are
considering we're on camera and they can't see my entire body.
Would you like to stand up on cam? Would you like to stand up on cam? We can stand up. Like not now, but like when we record on Sundays, we could just stand up.
I am standing. Will says he wants to hear Jackie's side of the Xena situation, and she asks if he's for real. Bitch, yes.
Hey, yo, listen. So the fact that they got so she's like, shit, we up here, we finally ain't got no distractions. You sure you want to know about the Xena shit? I mean, why talk about what's real when we can beat cheeks, right? I'm just like, hey, yo, Will, don't let her get you, son. Don't let her get. But then for him to get it and then revert right back to like, so yeah, about that talk that I wanted to have earlier.
While she was fucking cheesing from cheek to cheek, like she was
hard as fuck.
Smiling.
Like, oh, you happy, huh? You happy? It was good. Yeah, I know it was. That's what's up. So what about this Xena shit? What's going on? Like,
that is hilarious. But he's
that whole situation was hilarious because she definitely thought she was getting out of that shit.
She did.
She thought she was.
But if there's one thing that Will has shown you is that he will continue that conversation if he cares about it that much. LaMarcus Aldridge has set up a real romantic vibe for Coco Jones. She tries to dip on bro, but he doesn't let her leave without reiterating that he wants her. Which
that happened before Coco Jones pulled up on her.
Yeah, I was that part of it. Jackie is cheating ear to ear, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Carlton meets up with drug dealing Connor. Apparently, drug dealing Connor didn't steal bro's car maliciously. He was just fucked up. Drug dealing Connor asked if Carlton needs to chill, and Carlton is actually confused and said they just need to be more careful. And then takes another.
He was like, so you need to stop taking so many drugs, right? Fuck no. I just need you to be a little bit quieter about it. Like,
that's exactly how it went.
Okay.
He was like, chill. What are you talking about? No, you just need to be more careful.
And who is this man? Who's your plug? You got the shit? Yes, I do. Like, fam, why? Why are you holding like that? Who do you work for?
He works for Lobos, bro.
Somebody.
He works for Mecca.
You definitely work for Mecca. Noma. What's the Irishman out in Chicago?
The Flynns.
The
Walter
Flynn's. Yeah, he
Flynn.
worked for all of them.
All right. Coco Jones pulls up to Jazz's event. Da 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 da. Oh yeah, she couldn't give bro 2 bars of the hook. Just all right. Phil and G pull up on Doc, and G got the blicky on him. Doc says that Lorenzo is out to get him and the Zenith hype team for some street shit. Phil don't give a fuck because Will is out until Doc tells him that Lorenzo can prevent Will from playing college ball. Seems like Jeffrey is going to have to put in some more work.
Should have never let this man hoop with them in the first place. And Uncle Phil knew it. And here go Aunt Viv. We gotta let him go, Phil. We gotta let him do what he do, Phil. Phil, we can't control him, Phil. Phil, if he wants to go there, we have to let him make his decision, Phil. Philip, I don't think you're handling this right, Phil. Okay. See, and now where we at? Where we at?
We fucked up.
Should listen to your Faja.
Right. Will is sitting at the edge of his bed thinking about everything that's happened these past 2 seasons. Ain't no telling what's about to happen with bro. Seems like
Hey, look, man. I don't know where we going with the final episode here. I don't even know what's going to be Will's next move. He might end up acting like, like Ghost and Franklin. So, I don't know. And maybe that's a good place to be going into a finale, right? So, with no expectations, I have no expectations other than a good story. And, we just...
Maybe hedge your expectations on a good story. Maybe just go for a decent story.
Not a good one, just a decent one?
It's Bel Air. Let's go decent story.
A good story. A good, at least a good continuance. I think that we're having a season 3, so let's keep it up.
I agree. I do enjoy watching Bel Air, but if not for nothing else, to make jokes about it. I think it's hilarious.
Sure. And I think they drive some interesting conversations. They handle some topics a little bit differently than some other shows like this. And also, I think it's a little bit refreshing that they're always kind of constantly moving forward in the story because they don't take a lot of unnecessary time to deal with small conflicts.
Sure.
Like the things that last throughout the season are the overarching themes for the show. They're the overarching plot for the show, and everything else gets handled within the episode. It's not usually something that drags out. It's not stupid nonsense bogging down the story. And so I do appreciate that from Bel Air in that instance. But other than that, yeah, just a good story. That's my only expectation.
My last question is, so we've got episode 10 of Bel Air. Obviously, we have no Snowfall, so we're just doing a live stream for just Bel Air next week. Last year, we had Moon Knight that I think intersected with it, but...
Intersected, yeah. We're a little far off from Secret Invasion. I think that's the next one, so can we take a break? Or maybe, you know what? Maybe we can find something to talk about on Thursdays. What do you guys want to do? Do you want to wait until Secret Invasion, or you want to convene on Thursdays and talk about more stuff? Let us know.
Talk about Jonathan Majors losing more shit and having more accusations and...
Yeah, man, a lot of this stuff is really weird to me because before, the only people that were talking or letting out any information was the defense. Right, it was all Jonathan Majors. Okay, she recanted. Okay, well, Jonathan Majors called the police. Okay, we have text. Yeah, we have text, right? And so it's been all from their side with the information. It felt like, even though some of that didn't land necessarily the way that they wanted it to, it felt like the DA felt like they had to beef up their case. They needed to strengthen their case because I would venture to guess that some of the stuff that they have presented thus far was substantial enough that the DA had to build their case, had to add something to it. Because there was no talk about this being a pattern of behavior with Jonathan Majors prior to this. Then all of a sudden, after we have all this information, we've got a video that proves it. We got an eyewitness that says that Jonathan Majors never struck her. right? And that she was actually hitting him trying to get his phone. We also have all these pictures of her out clubbing, doing things with her right hand that's supposed to have a broken finger,
Mm.
right? It's a lot of circumstances, nothing that is definitive until we actually see it or actually hear the testimonies. But if everything checks out to what they says it is, it's a pretty strong case in the defense. So now it sounds like the prosecutor is beefing up their case by trying to find some other former partners of Jonathan Majors to corroborate what was said initially. Because again, this is all for a victim who has now twice recanted their story, their initial statement, and is low key proven that she lied. Right? Like, it's one thing to take those text messages the text messages that we saw with no other context and say, man, that kind of sounds like abusee language. Like, it sounds like she's apologizing for getting hit. But then let's add the context of what she said her injury, or what she claimed her injuries were. She claimed that she had a broken finger to the police and that she had a laceration behind her ear. Now, there's nothing that we can see or that has been presented about the ear laceration. But in terms of the finger, now, I don't know if any of y'all have ever had a broken finger. I've had a couple. I don't usually drink with that hand, nor do I brush or comb my hair or fumble through my wallet to pick out things.
Sure.
Pay for drinks. Work or surf the internet on my phone. Wouldn't necessarily be doing that hours later after having a broken finger, much less without a cast or any type of splint.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not hopping either which way. I want to see the tape from the back of the cab. I want to hear the cab driver's eyewitness testimony. According to Jonathan Majors' lawyer, the cab driver heard Jonathan Majors ask to be let out of the car. He got out of the car. Jonathan Majors shows back up to his apartment that his now ex-girlfriend went back to after her night of a bender at the clubs in New York, right? Goes back to his place where he wasn't even staying that night to avoid her. He goes back in the morning and finds her passed out at the floor of his closet. This is all according to Jonathan Majors' lawyer. Finds her passed out at the foot of her closet. When he's able to get her to, he says she took some sleeping pills. Now, ask yourself, if you're a decent human being, you know this person been out drinking all night, they just told you that they took some drugs along with that alcohol, and you found their vomit on your bed, because that was in the report as well, the vomit on your bed, and her passed out in front of your closet, not by the bed, by a walk-in closet probably. Okay? So I'm thinking something the fuck is wrong, and the last thing I want is for somebody to die in my apartment. Yep. So what would a decent and or reasonable person do at that point?
Call the police.
Okay. And that's what Jonathan Majors did. Mm-hmm. And that's what he did. Yep. Verified that he was the one who called the police. Mm-hmm. So again, as much as everybody wanted to speculate about what seemed so clear coming out of those text messages, like, oh man, this isn't good. This isn't what innocence looks like. I want to hear the same thing about all of this. I want to hear the same energy. Don't get quiet on me now. You were loud and you were proud you were loud about telling us how all of this stuff was clearly abuser behavior. That's language of an abused woman who's apologizing for what she feels like she did wrong to get abused. You were very strong about that. Right? Okay. So now, if that same victim claimed they had a broken hand to the police, broken finger to the police, which led to all of this, and we can somehow prove that didn't happen. This person said that they were hit and assaulted. If we have video evidence that Jonathan Majors never touched her, never even struck her, Now, what does that do to your idea about what everything is said in there? Now it just sounds like somebody who really fucked up and knows they really fucked up. And now they're trying to walk it back to minimize the damage.
Yeah. I mean, especially with all the evidence, there's a reasonable doubt there.
Yeah, no, they still might be right about the whole thing. But the fact that people don't leave a window open for you to be wrong about what you think you know with the little bit of information that we have is crazy to me from so-called intellectuals. From so-called intellectuals lamenting the fact like, oh, this happens all the time and this is very common and I know people and I've spoken to people and I've done research. None of that amounts to anything if you don't have the proper context.
Sure.
That will lead you to categorizing an innocent man. So now let's talk about the people who are helping the DA though, right? Because that's not nothing. That's not nothing. We didn't start out talking about a pattern of behavior. And now, if they've established one, that's something completely different. Yeah. Now we do have to look at it differently. My thing about it is that number one, whoever they've added, because they said multiple, so that could literally mean two, but whoever they've added to cooperate with the case, to corroborate what they were told initially by the witness, by the quote unquote victim. Something tells me, and again, this is me speculating. This wasn't in the reports by TMZ. This isn't anything I've heard or anything that I know. Something tells me that the nature that they're coming forth about isn't physical. The reason why I said that is because we've already kind of heard whisperings about Jonathan Majors maybe not being the nicest person, being a bit of a tyrant, right? True or untrue, it would certainly make sense that there are some disgruntled exes out there based on what we've already heard about Jonathan Majors, right? Like that's not out of the realm of possibility. Mm-hmm. Where I think it becomes a little bit more damning is if they have stories of physical abuse.
Yes.
If they have verified, provable stories about abuse from Jonathan Majors, that changes the complexity of the situation, because now you have to look at the situation with a little bit more scrutiny. Is this a situation that's been buttoned up to look neat now that you have a victim who's corroborating with you? Or is this really a case of somebody trying to be vindictive against you and pushing it too far? And now we've dug up some things that can actually make it look worse than what it actually is. If he has some disgruntled ex-girlfriends who he never laid a finger on, it doesn't really do anything to move the needle to me. Where it becomes a problem, where it becomes something that's a little bit more damning in my eyes personally, is if they have some sort of story that corroborates what was originally told from the girlfriend.
I would agree. At the very least, it would change the perspective of Jonathan Majors going into it, which changes, like you said, changes the whole scope of everything. William Moloch says if he's innocent, we got to talk about what acting like a victim means, because a lot of people keep saying that the lady is acting that way.
If he's found innocent, he should immediately draft a lawsuit against this woman. Immediately. People have to feel the weight of false accusations as much as people have to feel the weight of consequences for sexual assault. It has to be. Otherwise, you create this whammy card that you can essentially throw at anyone you choose, and most of all affected this demographic right here.
Sure.
Already proven, long history of it, don't need to dredge through the examples, right? There are many. Even to this day.
Yep. People's lives have been ruined by it. Just accusations.
Have been taken over this. Mm-hmm. Not just ruined, not just lost a job. People have died over shit like this. Sure. So, as much as we want to protect the women in our communities from sexual violence or undue sexual advances from men or women who would do them harm, we have to be equally as tough on people who bring these accusations falsely and drum up the level of concern that should be given to a sexual assault victim. You should have a very active and vigorous response to someone accusing sexual assault. And it's for that reason that a person who is found to give, or I keep saying sexual assault, an assault against a woman, a domestic assault, something like anything like that, right? We should have a visceral response to something like that.
Well, sexual assault would be the same thing.
Well, not necessarily. Domestic violence and sexual assault are not necessarily the same thing.
No, those are not the same thing. I'm saying the response to it should be.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. It should be the same thing. Should be the same thing. But you have to. It's for that reason, because you're going to respond in such a way that if a person is found to have falsely brought claims like that, they should be punished.
Yep.
Absolutely, they should be punished. Because the ramifications of that accusation, number one, I will have to deal with regardless of whether or not I'm proven innocent or not. Yep. He's never getting the Army commercial back. Yep. Right? The talent agency that dropped him is not going to pick him back up immediately after these charges are either dropped or he's found innocent.
The movie role he lost, the Texas Rangers ads.
That stuff is gone. Right? He'll have to work to get that stuff back. That is the reason why Amber Heard owes Johnny Depp $12 million. Because she cost that man millions of dollars. And we only talking about money at this point. When you're talking about a black man, you could be talking about his life for freedom.
Absolutely.
So you absolutely have to be as hard on it one way as you are the other. To keep people being as hard on violence against women and sexual assault as they are today. If you think it's a good thing where we ended up post Me Too, you should want the false accusers to be brought out and punished to the fullest degree. Because now there's no excuse to double back and be like, see, look at all these examples of people bringing these false claims. This is why you shouldn't believe them. This validates that type of nonsense. Well, potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Jonathan Majors? Any other thoughts on Snowfall Bel Air?
Nah, man, it's been a long week. I've had three finales, two finales, one episode 9. An epic death in another last season. I don't know if you guys are watching Succession, but that shit was crazy. It's been a emotional roller coaster on my TV shows lately, so
gotcha.
It'd be good to unwind a bit and take a break before Secret Invasion.
For sure. And on that note, I guess we are out. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Appreciate all
Love you all.